2009 National ARMA Convention, and thanks for stopping by the Iron Mountain booth. And also welcome our internet viewers today. I'm Donna Houk. I'm the Director of Enterprise Accounts for Iron Mountain. And today we're going to talk about something that I think is kind of top of mind for all of our customers and really for our company also, and that is how to optimize your records management program, particularly when it comes to the spend that you applied to that program. And so everybody's trying to really do more with less, lower and drive out cost of program, and also if you are going to spend capital, to make sure that you can present a really solid and sustainable return on that invested capital. And so we're talking to our customers a lot about this, so we think it's a pretty relevant topic. At a high level, we're going to explore 3 areas that we believe can make an impact on driving costs out of your total program. The first is storage. The second is to control the cost of accessing information. And the third is to leverage your vendor partners. So starting with what we consider sort of the biggie, which is storage, this is probably the single most biggest place where you can make a financial impact by eliminating the volumes of information you store, whether you're storing electronic or paper records. And so the first step in that process is creating a credible retention schedule and making sure that your users are applying the retention schedule to the records. The second thing is to really make sure you clean up old inventory. And then the third one, which is probably, again, the biggest impact, is to execute on destructions. And to illustrate that, we've got a graph out of one of the tools that we use to analyze data, our customers' records, physical records data. And this graphic is really just designed to show you what can happen sort of with a typical company's records. This actually represents paper records, but records management program. And so I'm going to highlight a couple of the bars on the bar graph. The first one that I'd like you to take a look at is this one with the date. You see a little less than half of that is in blue and the other top half in gray. That bottom half, the 41%, represents the boxes of records that came into an Iron Mountain facility from this customer that actually had a date associated in the metadata. So that means there was like a from to date defining the records. The other top half, that almost 59%, actually represents just a receipt date. So our system automatically applies a receipt date to those records when they come in. So what that means is with this customer, only less than half of their boxes of records have an actual date within the descriptive information. And then the second thing, which is a little bit alarming, is an actual destruction date. This bar actually represents a destruction date, and it's at 36%. So that means this customer, 2/3 of their inventory currently does not have a destruction date applied in the metadata. So it's going to be very difficult for them to execute on destruction because it's difficult to understand what's even eligible for destruction. And then the last bar, even more alarming, 26% of this customer's records don't have any metadata associated with the box of records. So what that means is they just have a box number and they have no other descriptive data associated with that box. And in this case, because they've got about 100,000 boxes of records, that's like 25,000 boxes of records. So it's not a small amount. So I'm showing you this because it really illustrates a pretty typical customer. I know that some of you might be thinking, well, this is probably, you know, some customer who's never focused on their records and doesn't have a policy or program, but that's not actually the case. This customer is a very typical customer. They have a retention schedule, they have a records management policy, and they're in a highly regulated industry. But they've just haven't been applying the retention across their enterprise. They're decentralized in the way they apply it, and so they've got this situation on their hands. So what do they do about it, or what don't they do about it, is where the cost savings comes in. This, again, is just another graphic that depicts the impact of doing essentially nothing about destroying records. And it shows the financial impact over a 10-year period of what that means to an organization. So the purple on the bottom represent after the program. So you see the spike up in the first year because, as you all know, it may cost money to refresh your retention schedule, to apply the information to the metadata, and then to actually physically do the destructions on the boxes of records. So there is an upfront cost typically to cleaning up a records inventory, but as you can see, the ROI across the 10 years more than makes up for it. And the other just sort of impact statement about this slide is if you don't do anything, what that means to your business. So if this customer just stayed the same and didn't do anything and didn't even add new records, this is what their costs would continue to do. And in this case, it's literally hundreds of thousands of dollars over a 10-year period. So it's this just kind of puts the exclamation point on the importance of executing on destructions. And then the second sort of big bucket topic that we were going to talk about is total cost of access, and really understanding how much it costs you to access information. First step in this is making sure your metadata is clean. I know a lot of records managers and a lot of our customers work with legacy information or legacy systems where the metadata needs to be cleaned up. The second area in accessing is to manage your premium services. For customers who store off-site vendors typically charge a premium for rush delivery, rush retrievals, and even if you manage your records in-house, there's still a higher cost associated with those premium services. So many times just a behavioral change or some education internally can help drive out some of those costs. And then the third, which I think is probably, again, the biggest one in accessing information, is really starting to understand why your end user is accessing the information in the first place. And Iron Mountain, with our customers, and I'm sure some of the other vendors, partners have been having these kinds of conversations, have really started to think about, what's in the box. Why are you retrieving the box? Because we had I'll give you an example of one of our customers who was actually retrieving hundreds of boxes from our record centers each week. So they had the cost of all of the physical logistics of moving those boxes and transporting those boxes. And then when they got to the customer site, they were actually imaging them at their customer location and then putting them back in the box and then sending them back to Iron Mountain. And so they had the cost, all the expense of moving, the logistics of moving it around, and then they also had the expense of human labor when it got there and also equipment. And so we were able to design a program for them an image on demand program for them that established all of those steps. We cut out about 4 of those steps, and everything happened in our facility, and it drove costs out of their program, and it also improved their chain of custody because the boxes were not leaving our building. And then the last thing is, and that's sort of what I just illustrated in that last example, the last thing is we encourage everyone to get help from their outside vendor partners. A lot of times your situations may seem unique to you, but your vendors or your business partners that you work with deal with hundreds of other customers, and many times they've seen your problem or seen a similar challenge and been able to help another organization with that same challenge, so they might also be able to help you. And when you ask them in during the collaboration stage, again, many business partners have tools that they can use to help do the analysis and evaluation at no charge or no cost to your organization. For instance, Iron Mountain has different analytic tools and risk assessments and those kinds of things that we offer, and I'm sure many of the other vendor partners have similar programs. And the win there for the vendor is that it gives them an opportunity to expand the business relationship and the business partnership, and the win for the customer is that it provides you with analysis and evaluation and services essentially at no charge. So to just sort of summarize the points that we are making today in terms of trying to drive costs out of your total program, I think the biggest bang is the storage, eliminating storage costs. This can help not only lower your storage costs and your logistics costs, but it will also affect in a positive way your discovery costs. The second thing is really understanding total cost of access, and we believe that that's sort of an untapped area of savings, really understanding why are your users retrieving the information in the first place, and building some better business process around that. And then the last thing is remember to leverage your business partners for expertise, for subject matter expertise. And I appreciate you all coming. Does anybody have any questions? Thank you.